this beautiful woman is saying, do you want to enter a relationship with me for 3 months, and then when it ends, we will go our separate ways. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be to practice a level of embodiment we want to be with our future husband and wife. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do this so we can find those people.
It's just so funny. Yeah. Yeah. And you received it, and you took a week and a half. I think it was nearly 10 days. Mm-hmm. And we didn't really see each other during that time. And you took my proposal and you really sat with it. We're back, baby, with a brand new season of the It's Fucking Spiritual podcast. Join us each week as we have unfiltered conversations about how to transform your life. Our mission is to usher in a new era of spirituality where you don't have to be all love and light to live a life of alignment. Here, we honor all of it, the profound and the profane, the magic and the messy, and all things that make you human. So let's discuss the truth behind transformation and be unapologetic in our evolution. From manifestation to money, embodiment to energy, and all taboo topics, nothing is going to be off limits. Are you ready to live a life that feels just as good as it looks? Let's get fucking spiritual. Hey, what's up, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the It's Fucking Spiritual podcast. It has been a minute. I told you guys that I was going to take a couple week break, and I think it's been maybe 3 months since I've filmed and released an episode, but it was for good reason, and you guys are going to hear all of the updates on the show today. And you might already know, well, you do know the update for today because you saw the title of this episode. I am officially engaged, and it has been such a wild ride. It's been so beautiful, and I've just been soaking it in. We are on a different set because we moved out of my house, and I started my life with this beautiful man, the love of my life, who is joining us today. And we're going to tell you a bit about our love story, our journey, and yeah, what we went on to arrive here together, and a little life update for us. So I'm really excited. This is my most favorite episode probably I've ever done. And yeah, Jamieson, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. This is so wild, you guys. It took forever for us to start to press record, because usually when I have a guest here, it's like I don't know them or I don't have a lot of rapport. You're my best friend and the love of my life and my fiance. And yeah, we were shooting the shit, and it took a long time for us to get started. So we're here. Yeah. We've arrived. We've said we were going to do this since we got engaged middle of May, and it is currently August 1st, 2nd, I don't know. But I feel like a lot of life has happened, and they'll hear about it today, so that's okay. Yeah, so I'm so honored to have you on the show. Yeah, this is so new for me because I've never shared you with my audience, and I've shared snippets of some of you guys. If you listen to every episode, I've definitely mentioned him a bit. But it feels really beautiful and divine that we're sitting here right now, and that they can feel our energy together. And yeah, I'm just really excited. So, okay, before we dive into our story and the journey and everything, I would love to hear. This is exciting for me because I get to ask you like all these questions and just like pull. But I would love to hear, how would you describe our relationship?
Ooh. I think a few things come to mind.
Okay.
First and foremost, unusual. And so fucking right.
Yeah.
Like it's such a beautiful thing to both live and witness. Mm-hmm. And it's very different than anything that I have experienced or even heard of in the first place. So I would describe our relationship as we have it all. It's best friends first and foremost, and we'll talk about how kind of our journey and how we were friends first, and like passionate lovers, and we bring the absolute best out of each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's more than a few things, but yeah, it's, there's also something, there's a deep knowing and truth of like, this is absolutely it.
Yeah, there is.
And it's easeful and it's peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the easiest relationship I've ever been in.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it's always easy. It's just that but also it is. I don't know how to explain that to people, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit, but thank you for that. It's really beautiful to get to receive you in this way, and I guess I'll share too. I've said this to you before, but this was the slowest burn and the easiest and fastest yes of my entire life. And that sums up our relationship to me. Like, it was the opposite of anything I've ever experienced, because we don't have the high highs and the low lows and this like roller coaster. It's just been this steady deepening that's continued to grow and expand. And for both of us, and I feel like I can speak for you too with this, is just we are the best versions of ourselves with each other. And I love who I've become with you in the process of us meeting and knowing each other, and then the journey all the way to saying yes to spending our lives together. And I'm just the softest, most surrendered version of myself yet. And I know that will just continue. And it's been so fun to witness who you've become over the last year plus of our journey together. Yeah. Oh, like, we're so cute. I love you so much. This is our house all the time, you guys.
Literally.
We have the best time together.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back all the way to the beginning of our journey. And I want to hear a little bit about where you were, because where you were at the time, it really was divinely guided. I don't think if you hadn't been in this place, I don't know if we would have ended up in the way that we have.
Totally.
But for you guys listening, so we met 15 months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
It was May of last year, so 2024. And we were both recently out of relationships. And I was just doing my thing, working on myself, and you were in a sabbatical from life. And we'll tell like how we actually met, but tell a little bit about like where you were at that time in the 3-month container you were doing.
Yeah. So I think I was maybe only about a month into that.
Maybe not even.
Yeah, it was
a few
really
weeks,
early. Yeah. So I can be a bit extreme. And
me too.
Yes,
That's why we work.
Exactly. And I was at a place in my life where I knew what I deeply wanted in life and had to face the reality of why I hadn't gotten it yet. And for me to do that, I needed to clear everything out. I needed to declutter everything so I could essentially feel the deepest stuff and process it and allow me to open myself up for what I deeply wanted. During that time, I pretty much said no to everything. It was no dating, no relationships, no apps, nothing even like sexual, no porn, no sugar, no unhealthy food, no news, no music. I would literally drive like a sociopath in my car with no music and just like feel the deepest stuff that I've been pushing down my whole life.
Yeah.
And I did that for 3 months. And we met, and there was, to be honest, way more that I was doing beyond that. I was doing kind of like daily practices, intense discovery, and again, processing the things I needed to so I could be available for what I deeply wanted. And I guess I called it in a little early because we met a couple weeks into that.
Yeah, we did. And as you guys can see, if you know my journey at all, you know that I did 3 months of complete isolation 2 years ago. And so you're the only other person that I've heard. You weren't in complete isolation the way I was, but you were in isolation of input.
Yeah.
Which is isolation, I think, in a lot of ways, meaning like no social media, no music, no app. And when you do that, it allows you to feel the deepest things that are there that you haven't felt. And as you can see, this is why we're a match for each other.
Yeah.
So you were in that when we met. And the way we met was also really cool. And just, again, like our entire relationship has been so spirit-led, God-led, divinely guided, whatever you want to call it. But I had gone to a dating event, and I met our now mutual friend Jake there. And shout out Jake. He'll never listen to this. Yeah, he'll never listen to this podcast, but that's fine. We'll tell him we gave him a shout out. I met him there. It was a pickleball dating event. And I said to me and my girlfriend said to him, like, oh, we don't know how to play pickleball, but I feel like it's a good way to meet men. And he's like, I'll teach you how to play pickleball. Like, let's play doubles. I'll bring a friend. And we're like, okay, great. And so maybe a week later, we go to pickleball and he brings you. And you thought it was a double date. We did not think it was a double date. And you can tell this story. You almost said no. Okay, so do you want us to share this part? Because you were in your sabbatical.
Yeah, I was like, I told him, I was like, oh, I'm not dating at all right now. I'm not interested. And he's like, just don't be a pussy, just come.
The classic pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you're just like, okay, it's one night, you're doing him a favor, is what you think, right? And so we go, and you and I are pickleball partners. And I obviously thought you were attractive, and I'm like, who is this guy? And you were just so not available at all in any way. But I mean, I felt like there was an energy, there was a vibe for sure. But
I for sure thought you were cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you were very locked in
Totally.
your energy. You were very so loving. I mean, you're such a loving person, but you were closed in terms of like your sexual energy or anything. And we all talked after the pickleball tournament pickleball playing together. And and you shared what you were doing, and you said, I'm doing this sabbatical journey. So I immediately knew that the dating or us exploring this wasn't an option, but I had a gut feeling this guy's going to be in my life. And I didn't know how, and I didn't even know if that meant dating. It's just, when you meet somebody and you just know that they're going to be in your life somehow, that's how I felt toward you. And I was super surrendered about it. We didn't even get each other's numbers or anything like that. I just knew I was going to see you again. And about a week later, my girlfriend Jolie, she was the one that we were playing doubles with, and it was her birthday, and she happened to invite you and Jake. And so we go to her birthday, and you and I just totally hit it off. And we sit there on the couch, literally ignoring everyone for 4 hours and just diving so deep. And what was so cool about this, and I love how you share this too, was that we spoke the same language, and you understood somatics and what you were in, right? I really understood also, because I had just done my own form of isolation at that point, maybe like a year and a half prior. And so, we just like went down such a rabbit hole, and just like from a friendship level, just talking forever. What was your experience of that moment?
I specifically remember a moment where, I was describing, I think like a morning practice I was doing, and like I was breath work and a meditation. And I was like, this is going to sound really weird, but there's like an energetic drop that occurs. And you were like, I know exactly what you mean. And I immediately was just, okay. This is something I didn't expect.
Yeah. Not many people speak in that language and the nuance of that. And what I loved at that time is like, I didn't know what you did. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew you were really into this work, which is something that I personally was calling in. And now looking back, you were everything actually that I had written on my list of who I was calling in for my husband, which was an entrepreneur, but not in this space. And I didn't want somebody that was coaching or had social media or anything, but also wanted somebody that was deeply in this work, which I feel is rare usually. If you're in this work, you're a teacher of this, or, you see a lot of that. And you're all of those things, which we won't go into too much about any of that or what you do, but it's just so cool. Just as I learned more about you, I'm like, he really knows his shit and is so devoted to this path, and yet you don't teach it, you don't have social media, you're an entrepreneur, you're in tech, so it's just like so perfect looking back. But I didn't see that at the time. I didn't know. I was just so open to what this connection was. And then a week later after that, it was my birthday, and I invited you to my birthday. It was my 30th birthday. And we'll get more into, I'm like, I don't want to, we're going so deep into it. But yeah, it was my 30th birthday. And so now this is the third time that we're meeting ever. I invite you to my birthday. And I had told some of my friends, I have a crush on this guy, but he's in a dating sabbatical and he's fully just like locked in his mission and his work, but it's up July 31st. So we haven't mentioned that yet. So your 3 months was up on July 31st. And I had this feeling he might ask me out after that. But right now we're just building this foundation as friends. So you come to my 30th birthday, and this was a really big birthday for me. And I don't remember if I did an episode with you guys, but I think I probably talked about it a little bit. My 20s was all about my boss babe era and building this brand and, seeing what I could do. And over the last couple of years, it's been very much in my feminine and my softening. And so my 30th birthday was huge for me because it marked the end of one era and stepping into the next, in this next decade of, I knew, and I remember sitting there with you in the room saying, in this decade, I'm calling in my husband, I'm calling in my family, I'm calling in my children, and I know that this is going to happen. I thought it would be like 5 years from now, but I just knew I was stepping into my decade of softening, of surrendering, of becoming a wife. And then I had the hit after sharing it with everyone and being witnessed by all of my friends, including you. I had the hit, he's in this room. And funny enough, Allie, who you guys know Allie, she's like my right hand in my business, and she's, been on the show, and she had the same hit. He's in the room right now that I would find out later. And then I shoved it down. I was like, no, I don't think so. There's only a couple single guys in the room. Like, I don't think it's them, because I really didn't think it was you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just funny now to look back what our journey's been. And that was, my birthday's June 13th. So that was, a little over a year ago. And then after that, we would go to this place called Barton Springs here in Austin together once every couple weeks. And we would just sit and talk. And it was so platonic. And it just really built a foundation for us, I feel like.
Yeah, because of what I was going through, I was really interested in you and your work. And I had so much respect for you. Like, that was the foundation that was built. It was almost, wow, she's important because I can learn from her. Like, you have a deep amount of embodied knowledge that most people don't. And I could pick that up right off the bat. And as I was going through my journey, it was super fun just to connect with you and chat about, again, like the dropping of energy and what that means, right? It's such a esoteric type thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the beginning of our journey. That was the friendship era. And now I want to skip into when it shifted. So you went to a Vipassana as your last 10 days of your kind of sabbatical, which if you don't know Vipassana, it's a 10-day silent meditation, which it's super intense. And so you went to that, and I said goodbye to you, and you were coming back on July 31st or sometime around there when it was done, right? And or your 3 months was up. And I just had this feeling like, I think it's going to shift. And we kept, we saw each other a few more times, and we kept kind of hanging out, but like it started to get a little, okay, are we exploring this more than friends? What's happening? And I think at that time, you didn't quite know what you wanted coming out of this, not even just with me, but I think in general. Totally. You were still like finding what that looked like. And we slowly started to explore and we had such a foundation of friendship that it almost was like, do we want to ruin a good thing?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
I was hesitant
Right.
to change it because I really enjoyed our relationship as it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could sense your hesitancy,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, where does he stand? You know, and the thing that I love about us and our relationship is that we're such open communication. And I asked you guys, like, what questions do you have for us? This was 2 months ago when I thought we were going to do this back then. And some of you asked, like, what did you do to prepare for him? And what I'll say that I did so differently with us than I ever had before was I had such a practice of sharing my feelings, of revealing what was going on for me, of being really non-attached to the outcome and just sharing my truth over and over and over again. And so I'd say this is like the second phase of our journey, which was us like starting to explore. And so I was just so committed to sharing my feelings. And I think as women, like, we don't do that, right? Because or a lot of times in like just society or people in general don't, because you want a certain outcome or you're
Right.
attached because you like the guy and, you know, whatever. And so like you don't want to share too much or you don't want to be too much. Like I had worked through all of that. So I really, quite frankly, didn't give a shit, like, you know, at all, which I don't know how that changed things for you.
It's super attractive.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
How so? Actually, so for the ladies listening, so they can know.
Yeah. There's something about, I'll just speak directly to the experience I had with you, but there was something, for one, I didn't have to guess. There was no like ulterior motives of what you were trying to accomplish. You were very, very honest and open and just spoke the truth over and over again. It created a ton of safety. And in addition, the attractive part is it was not over clingy, it wasn't pulled back. It was simply just you standing on what your truth was, and at any moment, you know, we could speak to what that was. It effectively was just what is. And that's a very beautiful place to be, because it takes a significant amount of confidence and respect for yourself and your journey to know where you are, to not try and be something you're not.
Yeah.
And I think that's the underlying attraction under that.
I love that. That's really well said. Yeah. And that was my experience of it, is I liked you as a human being, and I knew that. But I was really non-attached to if you were my person or if we were even going to date, if we should, you know? And so basically we had this, I'd say maybe 6-week period probably of like, I'd kind of come over, we'd like make out on your couch. And I was like not available to do anything else other than that. So we had never been intimate beyond like kissing or anything like that together. And, you know, we had deep conversations and I revealed, deep things around like, I don't know, I can't feel your clarity. Yeah. And so because of that, I don't know if I want to open to you. And I think at that point you were like, oh, shit.
Yeah. I remember that moment. I was, for one, it was so true. I'm very available for feedback. Yeah. And in that moment, I knew, oh, what you're speaking to is truth. I kind of don't know what I'm doing right now. And I'm a little bit all over the place. As I was just coming out of that experience. And also, I immediately knew that what you were speaking to was the thing I needed to get to actually have the life I wanted. So it was a deep amount of, if anything, you saying, you know, I don't see the clarity that I desire in a man in you, created, for lack of better words.
I was really direct.
Created a deep sense of trust and attraction. Yeah. Because if you're the type of woman that stands for that, that's the type of woman I want to be with. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching you reorient in that moment, because I don't think any woman had said something like that to you before in a loving way. Like, I think it was really loving. I just said, hey, you know, I'm interested in you, but I don't feel your clarity, and therefore I can't move forward. And you were like, oh. And then I started to feel your clarity. So basically, we had a lot of conversations. So now, at this point, now we're around October, late September, early October. So again, as I said, slow burn, guys. We met in May. And yeah, so we were just kind of in the inquiry around, like, do we want to move this past friendship, or do we kind of want to, we were enjoying each other's, like, exploring company, like having kind of that energy, that openness, and like kissing you on your couch. But I was like, do we want to say yes and dive into this or not? And I think a part of the hesitancy that maybe both you and I had at the moment that I want to speak to now, and it's actually the whole reason why we work and why our relationship's so phenomenal and why we actually, end up now we're spending our lives together, is that we weren't each other's pattern.
Yeah.
So you guys know, because I know most of you have been in a relationship that it's so activating from the very beginning. You're like, oh my God, this could be the one. And you're like, so, it like so on a high. And then, or you get like love bombed, or you're love bombing each other. And you're like, oh my God, this person's it. And they're amazing. And like,
Yeah, 4 hours in.
Yeah, exactly. A week in, you're like, this is the one, and you're telling everybody, right? And then eventually what happens, typically, it crashes and burns, right? And don't know how or when, but it typically crashes or burns. And then you're left, and it's this cycle, right? You and I were the antithesis of that because we weren't each other's patterns at all. At all. You actually were everything I wanted, but you didn't activate my nervous system in the fight or flight way. And quite frankly, it's because you don't remind me of my dad, and I don't remind you of your mom
100%.
from some subconscious level.
Yes, that is correct.
Right? And so,
Remind our nervous systems.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So we knew we loved each other's company and we loved each other's friendship, and we had this deepening, but we weren't activating each other into like this like hormonal, like really intense, state, right? It was just like, wow, this is calm.
Yeah.
And so that's weird. If you've never had that before, it's like, is something missing? Like, should we keep trying to do this? Like, I don't really know. And so we just kept speaking to that and kept speaking to the thing. And now I know that's why we're fucking awesome. And that's also why we don't have the highs and lows. And so basically we had one night where we had decided maybe we should go back to being friends.
Yeah. Like something's just not here.
Yeah, maybe it's just something's not here. Us not knowing what we now know and can sit here and tell you, right? We're just thinking like, maybe we're better as friends. Like, I don't know. And, and we have this one night where we go to this concert together, and I had shared with you, like, let's just have one last night of like being together. And when I say together, I just mean like, like we weren't like super intimate at that point, but just like being together, like dating energy, right?
Like flirtatious and fun.
And like
totally.
kissing you and just like being at the concert and all of that. And we're going to have this one last night.
Yep.
And then we're going to say, the next morning we're going to go back to either being friends or, see what's resonant, but we'll go our separate ways in this way. Yep. At that time. And you were like, okay. And that night was such a fun night, and also sad because I think both of us didn't really want it to end.
Yeah.
But we were confused.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next morning we did a practice. And this is something I love about you, is that he leads us in a lot of spiritual practices. And you did something called a dyad. Yeah. You want to explain what it is?
Yeah, it's something I learned in the last few years that is a great way to communicate without all the responses and then the jumping in. Essentially what it is there's kind of an initial kind of connection practice where you're sitting across from each other, gazing into each other's eyes, and one partner is in just kind of like loving awareness, holding the other partner, and without any reaction. So if I was doing it to you, I would say, feel into a truth in your body here and now.
And that was the question.
I think something like that, yeah.
And I would respond.
And all I can say when you respond is thank you. and then it switches. And you ask the same thing. We go back and back, and you go so deep so quickly because you're just speaking your truth, and all the person says is, thank you. Yeah.
So life hack for you guys in relationships, try this practice with your partner if they're open to it. Because it was profound. So the next morning, because we had the concert and we stayed together, and the next morning you led us in this dyad practice, and we did this for 2 hours, y'all. It was deep. And you have an entire conversation of deep truths without having a full response conversation, right? So it's just deep truth after deep truth. This was the moment that changed everything. Because I looked at you and I said, I don't know what I am to you, but I am not your friend.
Yeah.
And it was, again, my commitment to speaking truth and revealing my hurt and revealing what felt the most resonant in the face of, like, you could have rejected me. You could have said no, right? It's like the daring to be vulnerable is what, like, creates the most alive, beautiful relationships.
Yeah.
And it is what created us. Was honestly, and I've said this maybe on the podcast before, the masculine leads, but the feminine frequency goes first. And I think that was the epitome of the beginning of our relationship, is that I constantly was revealing, I constantly was opening. And then you were leading us, and so we were like kind of in this dance, but I was just constantly speaking to truth. And so I said that, and eventually what we got to it, and I said, I'm not interested in being your friend. I don't know what this is going to be. We either dive into exploring this, or we go our separate ways, and I love you and we'll see you around, you know? And eventually what we got to in that practice is I also revealed again, oh my God, it was so, I think back to that moment and the amount of work I've had to do on myself to get to the place where I could reveal something like this and face you thinking I was nuts, face you thinking rejecting me, not wanting the same thing, like, right? Like, how often in relationships do we like maneuver
100%.
And it's manipulative, right? But it's just to protect our own heart, and we don't see it that way. But I did the exact opposite, and you responded beautifully to me, which I think is the ironic part, is like when we are the most vulnerable, it is actually when we get what we want. But I was so non-attached, but I said to you, we could do something called a relationship by design. And I learned this in my feminine program that two of my best friends run. Shout out Amy and Ellie. And they taught me that you can do a relationship by design, where basically you have a container. And in this container, and it doesn't have to be romantic. You can do this with anybody. Often they are romantic, but you have agreements, you have commitments, you have what you're gonna do together, a certain timeline, and you commit to being in this container together with a start date and an end date. And so I brought you this idea, and I said, this is what I'm interested in, or nothing. And you were like, okay. What were you thinking in that moment? Do you remember?
Yeah, there was probably a bit of nervousness coupled with, again, a deep amount of attraction that you would even speak that. Because what a fascinating concept.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of that. So in the moment, this beautiful woman is saying, do you want to enter a relationship with me for 3 months, and then when it ends, we will go our separate ways? And it's going to be to practice a level of embodiment we want to be with our future husband and wife. So we're going to do this so we can find those people.
It's just so funny. And you received it, and you took a week and a half. I think it was nearly 10 days. and we didn't really see each other during that time. And you took my proposal and you really sat with it, and you got clear. I think you got support and, you know, from men and the men's work that you do, and I think a therapist that you work with, and you like really sat with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was probably the most important decision I've ever made. Because I was at a crossroads in life, and it felt like I either would go back to everything I previously did, all the patterns, all the old ways of being that were keeping me from getting all the things I truly wanted. So, you know, pre kind of that 3-month container and years prior to it. Or it was the universe giving me the opportunity to claim everything I've ever wanted. And that's scary. We all wish for all these things we want in life and these deep desires of where we want to be, who we want to be, with what we want our life to look like. And then when we're presented with that opportunity, it's actually kind of scary because it requires us to be that person.
Right.
So it's like, are you all talk or do you have some game as well? And I was faced with that. So it was not just a yes to something, it was also a no to something else.
Yeah.
So I had to sit with that and really connect with kind of like a full body fuck yes. And I remember getting to that point and I was like, let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you called me and you're like, I don't want you to be waiting. And I was just, you know, I was so surrendered to it the whole time and just so in my practice around, okay, like I trust the unfolding of our relationship. I trust spirit. I trust, you know, whatever's meant to happen. And you called me and you said, I don't want you to wait until I see you. I am a full body yes. Let's do this. Let's enter this 3-month container. And yeah, it was such a massive decision to make. And it was also a massive thing that I was saying yes to. And it was exciting and it was nerve-wracking. And it was really beautiful. And we had such an open line of communication on what we wanted. And we were so used to already, like we had this foundation of speaking truth. And so we came together. We negotiated our entire container, and we still have the note, actually, which I love. We have a shared folder in our notes app that started as it's still called Relationship by Design, and it's so cool to now everything we have is in there, and now it's like marriage, house. Yeah, exactly. But so spoiler, obviously, didn't end, but the intention was, so we negotiated everything. We negotiated how we wanted to be, how we wanted to show up, what it was going to look like. We were closed in this container, meaning like we're not going to date anybody else. We're not sharing energy with anybody else. We were fully focused on each other for these 3 months. And we had an opening ceremony, October 15th. And the end date was supposed to be January 15th.
Yep.
And we started this container. And I think within the first 2 weeks, you and I were both like, oh, shit. And I want to speak to what made this so different, us starting a relationship in this way and how that actually aided us. Yeah.
The most important thing for me that was different than anything I'd ever experienced, and what a weird way to enter a relationship knowing that it will end.
Yeah.
And that was so freeing. A deep freedom and openness and permission that I gave myself just to be myself. I wasn't trying to win you over.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to be on my best behavior. I was trying to simply speak to truth over and over and over again and just be me. And spoiler alert, that's a great way to fall in love with someone.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there was I guess what was different for me, there was no one we had to be, but also I think as women especially, we have a tendency, and just biologically, to go into, okay, so is this my husband? And then you start planning, right? You start future tripping. So you're on like date 2, you know, how many of you have done this, right? Where you're like on a date, like in the first few weeks, and you're like, I think this could be the one. And then you start in your head planning. And then when the guy doesn't end up being that person, it's like so devastating. Or, you know, when it doesn't work out, it's like, oh my God. And then you're not only not with the person or like breaking up with the person, you're also breaking up with the entire future that you planned in your head, right? And it just causes so much turmoil. And so I think for me, it was such a sober way to enter a relationship because we weren't tripping on that stuff because we knew this was going to end in 3 months. And, you know, we are just going to show up in love. And for me, my intention, I think we had different intentions, obviously, and they're very much the typical like masculine, feminine intentions. But for me, it was like, I want to open as love. I want to reveal my emotions as much as I can. I want to see you as the king that you are and back you in rising into that. I want to, you know, reveal what I see and share from a loving place, like the places that I could see you step in into even more of that king, right? And into the embodiment. I wanted you to give me that feedback. So we just entered from that really sober place and with that foundation. And I think that changed everything.
Yeah. I specifically remember there was one thing you said. It was, I'm going to be devoted to you like you are already my husband.
Yeah.
And gosh, what a beautiful, from my perspective, what a beautiful thing to feel in someone, you know, a week into a formal relationship, right? What I mean, that would never happen normally.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just so freeing. There was so much permission. I remember, it's funny because we didn't necessarily see kind of where things would go, if you will. But I remember talking to one of my best friends, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing this relationship by design, and it's going to have a start date and an end date, and the whole point of it is that we're going to be the best versions of ourselves in these next 3 months. And he's like, oh, so like a relationship.
Yeah.
And
how often is that not the case?
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Where it's like we have these like fantasies and these ups and downs of like, oh, this could be the most amazing relationship ever. But when you actually look on paper, like, are you being the best version of yourself?
Do they bring that out in you?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that was really huge, and we'll get into like how we knew each other was the one. But that, you know, spoiler alert, that's how I knew, right? Is because we became the best versions of
immediately
ourselves with each other. And there was something around doing this container, and it's the energetic of full commitment, which we'll get to once we'll fast forward into kind of, I'd say this was phase 3 of our relationship was the container, and now we're kind of in phase 4 and 5 and beyond and 6. But there is an energy of when you have full commitment and you close all of the other back doors, you can just be so present with that person. And obviously at that time we didn't have life commitment, but we had this commitment to the 3 months together. And so it just, when you're starting to date somebody, it's like, what are we? And like it slowly builds and there's all this. But for us, I mean, we had this near, I'd say 5 months of friendship and foundation.
Right.
Then we opened this container. It's like, okay, we're all in right now for 3 months. And so we just did it and we chose. And I think that in and of itself is such a hack because it collapses timelines, right? It collapses all other options and it like demagnetizes anything else and distraction and all of that. And it's just like, okay, this is what we're doing. Here we are. And so we started this container, and I feel like very shortly in, we started to realize, oh, wow, this is really different than what we anticipated. And about a month in, it was exactly a month in, so November 15th, we went on a little trip together. And we did a ceremony together. And I remember looking at you and bawling my eyes out because we were so expressed with each other, like from the beginning. There was no holding back. And I'm just like crying and crying, and I'm looking at you, and I just suddenly have this like knowing, like, oh my God, this is all happening. Like, this is so my husband. I'm like, oh shit. But like, not even, just like, holy shit, you know? And I'm crying to you. And I remember looking at you and I'm like, this is happening, isn't it? And you were like, yeah. Yeah, it is. And I think we both, like, somewhere in the ethers, like it was written wherever, that this was actually it. And I think that was the first, at least for me, like an embodied knowing. I still didn't fully know, but like somewhere in like the spiritual realm, it was like known and solidified. Yeah, and on that trip, you looked at me and said, I'm so in love with you, I do not want to end this. Like, what do you say we actually give this a shot?
Yeah.
And so we did. And we shifted from the end date a month into our container.
Yeah. The funny thing is, everyone around us, when we told them, they're like, oh, that's cute. Like, you guys are going to end up together. But we actually believe. Like,
yes.
We 100% both were in the knowing that it would end.
Yeah. No, we fully did not think we were each other's person at all. And everybody around us was like, are you going to get the memo? Which I think is actually so cute. Now, looking back, we were like the last to know.
Yeah.
And so fast forward to January 15th. So the day we would have ended, instead, we are at a couples retreat, like a polarity weekend together. And run by some of our dear friends. And in that retreat, they were talking about the energy of full commitment and fully choosing. And at this point, we had seen so much of each other. And like, you know, we had such a solid foundation. That's why it was like the slowest burn to the fastest yes.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the energy of just choosing. Yeah. Choosing and making the commitment and like going all in with this, but rather than being like, the wishy-washy is what kills you. Yeah. You know? And there's this quote, I think it's like Jack Canfield who said it, 99% is a bitch, 100% is a breeze. Yeah. And I think we both were in this place of feeling like we're 99%, like I think this is my person. Yeah. And they're talking about it's such a bitch, right? Like when you're not fully in and it leaves the back doors. And so all of that. And you and I were both breaking down. I think we were both crying. And again, just like knowing, like, okay, you just have to we've got to make this choice. And yeah, at that event, you looked at me and you asked me to be your life partner. Yeah. And let's make this full commitment in this choice. And I said yes. And so that was in January. So when we were supposed to end, instead, we're like, I think we're doing this fully. Yep. Yeah. And because it's so funny, you know, it's like online, people think that the commitment is like when you're posting the engagement photos. No. And like, so that would be, you know, in May for us. But in reality, we've known since January we're going to spend our life together. And then that kicked off a whole other thing and portals that we had to, you know, walk through of just how do you merge lives with someone? And like, what does that actually look like? And I actually went through a whole process of, you know, when you're in the liminal space of like, okay, we've said we're going to commit to each other, but I don't have a ring on my finger yet. Like there's still time. Like the avoidant part of me that's like, there's still a chance. Yeah. You know, exactly. Even though like there's no way, but and I knew in my gut that you were like so the one for me. But, you know, all of the fears, like what you talked about of the part of you that took 10 days to say yes to the container. Right. I had that part in me before we had our official engagement and like all of that, right? Of just this is it, right? You think, it's exactly what you said at the beginning, which is, you know, you think you want this divine love and you want to find your person and you want to get married, and you want to do like all these things, right? But what you're actually faced with is all the parts of you that have blocked that up until that point. Because why haven't you been a match for it up until that point? Like, why hadn't I been a match to finding my fiance, finding the love of my life? Like all of that, being a match to creating a life with somebody. Because I wasn't ready yet. Right? And so as it's coming up to the surface, it also brings up all of the shadow that kept you from it in the first place. Exactly. Yeah. Right? And so what I love about our relationship so beautifully is because we speak the same language, and I feel like from a consciousness perspective, you and I are such a match, you just so can meet me there. Like you don't get defensive. You don't, like when I have had times where I've like questioned things or like, I bring you something and it's like, you can so see, you have such sight on like when it's my shit, you know, and you'll bring it to me. And I think you and I are both so receptive to feedback, which is awesome. It just makes us, and so in this time we're like going deeper and deeper and deeper. And now shit's getting really real, you know? So I did start future tripping a little bit and like all these things, you know, it's like, oh my God. Like, oh, I have to really surrender, like truly surrender. There's the test, right? Like for the last 2 years, I've been learning feminine surrender and like surrendering and dating. And like, it was easy when there wasn't much attachment here. But what is it how do you surrender when like this is the man?
Yeah.
Right? And all that brings up. And so that was a beautiful chapter in Portal. And then I want to talk about the March ceremony that we did.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that's like coming through that you want to share in this part?
Just to speak to what you just said.
Yeah.
That once there was that true commitment that, hey, we are doing life together.
Yeah.
Both of the stuff came up. But that's the beauty of a safe relationship. It's that we actually can work through those deepest fears and everything in the shadow and the wound. So we both had our stuff that came up, but it was the benefit of the experience we were in versus, you know, other things where it's ups and downs and it's just, you're in pattern. You're not actually speaking to or experiencing the deeper thing and working through it in a loving way together. So what a beautiful place to find ourselves in a safe, loving relationship where we can be vulnerable to that deeper stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a good point because no matter what in relationship, our deepest stuff comes up. Like that's the point. But are you in a relationship that can actually meet you there and hold it? And, you know, I can speak to, I never have been to this level ever. You know, and usually it's like, oh, my stuff comes up and then it triggers him and then his stuff comes up and it triggers me. Like that, we were never in that dance. It's like my stuff came up, I bring it to you and you would like help me sit with it. Your stuff would come up, you'd bring it to me and same thing, right? And so, yeah, it was not a pattern, but it still was like, it's like actually we are now available for the deepest work possible.
And we both had a lot of support.
Yeah.
And I think that was really important.
That's also true.
I had many different men's groups I was a part of, but a few specifically that I could lean on them and work out things in real time to then process it to a point that I know what to bring to you. And you were doing the same with your different different women's groups. And what an important thing to have a community to lean on, so you're not bringing everything in its like fresh, unthought through form.
Totally. Yeah, and I think what's really important about this is we have cultivated community that can hold us in that. It's not like we're going and gossiping about our relationship and people are like, oh, fuck him. Like, you know, there's a lot of that in society. It's not that. We are in community that backs your union. And will like speak to your greatness or speak to my great, like in those ways, right? And so it's really welcomed in the community that we're in. And I think, I'm really grateful that we've cultivated that and created that for ourselves, you know, and that's so possible. And I think somebody listening to this might be like, oh, I don't have that. I just want to say it's like so possible to create that for yourself, because I don't want you to like compare to where we are at now. It's taken me 8 years on this journey to get here, to be a match for you, to be a match for the life we're creating, and to be held in the community that we have. I never had this for many, many years, and haven't until like really the last 2 years. And I feel like you haven't had that either. So, you know, you put yourself in the rooms, my friends. I've said that many times on this podcast. And just know that it's possible to create it. And I can share more resources with you guys as well. Maybe I'm going to do a separate podcast myself too, that I'll share a bit more on like the feminine stuff that can help hold you. But yeah, so we were really held, and we were in this portal of like, okay, we're spending our life together. And I went through a lot, you went through a lot. And then in March, we did one more ceremony. And this is a really important one, which we'll circle back to. But in this ceremony, this is what felt like our real engagement. It was like we had okay, we're going to spend our life together. We went through the portals of that. And then we both got to like the deepest embodied yes of our lives, where we just knew, like this is it. And we did a ceremony and we lit candles, one for my family, one for your family, said prayers, lit the center candle with those two, said what we were calling in for our family. And we're both like in tears, and it was so beautiful. And we knew, that we were going to spend our life together.
Yeah, that felt like our engagement.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. That energetically, that was that was the proposal. Like that was the engagement. And then, and then we started the journey of shopping for rings and doing that whole thing, and looking at houses and how are we merging lives. And it was so beautiful. And then we went to Costa Rica in May. You came down with me. I hosted a retreat for 20 women, and it was so magical. And you were there on site with us, and holding me in the masculine frame, and as I held them. And right after that, we got engaged, and you proposed. And we can go into a little bit of that story. I won't want to tell like too deep, but I had a feeling we were getting officially engaged, air quotes, in Costa Rica. I thought you were going to do the proposal there, primarily because you had mentioned it to me during the ceremony. I've been thinking about proposing to you in Costa Rica. I'm like, babe, you can't say that. So I had an inkling, and I had an inkling it would be after the retreat. And so your father, bless him, he's amazing, lives in Costa Rica, and this is where you get your foundation. Side note, guys, his dad is like a incredible meditation teacher, has written many, many books. So you've grown up in this work since you got here, which is very rare, which is so cool. But we were going to visit your dad. And so we had a couple of days in between my retreat and seeing your dad. And you threw me off because I thought it was going to for sure be the first night. We were going to stay for one night, a dinner, and it didn't happen. I'm like texting Allie, my friend, Allie. And I was texting Allie. I'm like, maybe he's not doing it here. Like, I don't know what's happening. And then the next morning, would you like to share the process of that?
Yeah. So one thing that was really cool is the photographer at your retreat lived in the same little town in Costa Rica that we were going to next. So I got our information at the retreat, and I said, because I had already been for weeks, speaking to the concierge at the hotel we were staying at with all sorts of different options. Was it going to be like a beautiful candlelight dinner with flowers? And that time of the year in Costa Rica, it rains. It's rainy season, or it's the beginning. So it was a little tricky. I wanted to do it at sunset. So I had all these plan A, B, C. And then it just felt so resonant when I met that photographer you had a really beautiful connection with. I said, hey, can you help me plan this? I want to do it in the morning instead. So instead of that first night, because it was actually, everything was kind of up in the air depending on weather. It could have been that first night.
What? Were you nervous? Or was that like activating for you?
Not really.
That makes me sweat. I'm sweating. I'm kind of hot.
I think I was nervous the 15 minutes before morning of. I think that's when it clicked. But essentially, she got a friend to come. They made this like beautiful, like kind of flower area on the beach. And I told you I had to make a business call, and I like went out and gave them the ring.
It's a long business call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I told you we were going out for a fancy brunch that we had to walk on the beach to get to.
Yeah. Well, and I'm also totally fishing, you guys, because I'm telling him we were originally supposed to stay for one night, and we extended it to 2 because it was just like such a nice place. So I thought for sure it'd be the first night because like he has to plan, right? And it doesn't happen the first night. And I keep being like, when should I wear my nicest dress?
Yeah, and I remember saying, I want you to wear your nicest dress for the brunch because that afternoon I'm going to go out and buy you an even nicer dress.
Yeah. So you threw me off. Well, you did end up buying
the
dress.
I did.
But, okay, so, all right, brunch. Yeah, so we're going to a fancy brunch. And you we start walking down the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he starts walking weird, you guys. He's like walking into me. I'm like, why are you walking
So I didn't, they were hiding in the bushes so well that I didn't see them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, are they going to get more flowers or something like that? Or is the timing off?
Yeah.
So I was pulling you away from the place where it was all set up. And I remember you just being like, what are you doing? You're like walking me into the water.
I'm my total brat.
Yeah.
I'm like, babe, why are you walking into me? And then you like kind of stop and you're like hugging me.
You're like, I'm hungry. Let's go for
I
brunch.
go, babe, I'm hungry. Like, can we go? I'm totally not realizing what's happening. And then we turn around and you take me to the little place where it's like, you know, flowers and candles and the whole thing that are in the photos. If you guys, a lot of you probably saw on Instagram, I posted them back when it happened.
Yeah.
A few weeks later, like end of May, I posted it. But yeah, and then you proposed and gave a whole speech and it was beautiful. And I'm just like so blown away. We were on cloud 9 and went back to our room and had brunch waiting for us there.
There's flowers everywhere.
Flowers everywhere. It was so, I mean, it was just the dreamiest proposal. But I would have said yes to anything because it was just a dream ticket to marry you. But yeah, you crushed it.
I know.
Yeah, I know. You so crushed it. And I think the sweetest part about this was what you did.
Oh. She loves words of affirmation. And I want to record the whole thing. I wanted you to be able to listen back to me asking you to marry me.
Yeah.
So I had a little hidden microphone. And that was part of the reason I was worried is because if you were on my right side, you might be able to see it through my shirt. So I had you on my left side.
Being weird.
Yeah, I was being weird.
Yeah, you were being weird.
But yeah, I recorded the whole thing. So even the part with you being a little brat and saying that, take me to breakfast, I'm hungry.
You're like, you hear me, babe, why are you walking into me? So that is forever memorialized in the recording.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. So perfect, though.
Yeah.
Classic. Yeah, and it was so beautiful. And yeah, it was just such a dream. And it's just so cool to like, you know, you wonder so much of your life, like, who am I going to spend my life with? And who's it going to be? And what's our story going to be? And I feel like our story and our love is the most epic thing I could have ever imagined. I couldn't have ever dreamed this.
Yeah.
And what it was and what it turned into. And we got engaged nearly almost to the day of us meeting.
Yeah.
And it's just such a cool thing, such a cool story. And I'm just so grateful for all of it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so that was kind of the last thing that you guys have seen, at least on my Instagram. And we were going to record this podcast kind of like a few weeks after it happened. But then life happened and we packed up my house and we were searching for houses and we found our dream home that we now live in. But it was just so much to pack up you, to pack up me, to merge lives, to move into this home and yeah, to start our lives together.
Yeah.
So what turned into a couple weeks was a couple months. And that's also because we have another couple of announcements.
We do.
You want me to say it?
Yeah.
I'm pregnant. And we are having a baby girl. Yeah, we are. So that's also where I've been because I was really fucking sick. I've been sitting here because I'm showing now, and I'm like, maybe they can see it. So if you guessed ahead of time, good guess. Yeah, so I want to tell the story of that. And the second part of this is we're actually already married. We got married last week.
Yeah.
In a little ceremony. It was going to be a full elopement, just the two of us, but the community we spoke of that we have here that is so wonderful and has been on our whole journey together, they were like, I think you need to do a spiritual ceremony and let us witness you in your vows. So we did. We did a ceremony a little over a week ago. Hosted everyone in our new home. Yeah. And It was a very spiritual ceremony. It's not our wedding. We do intend and think that we will have a much bigger wedding after our daughter is born. That's why you guys didn't see any of it. But maybe I will. We have some photos. Maybe I'll post some. But yeah, and so we actually this is my husband, I should say, on the title of this episode. I didn't want to reveal it too soon. Yeah, it's been such a wild journey. So now going back to when we did this ceremony.
In March.
Yeah, the second ceremony where we knew we were going to spend our lives together.
Our engagement.
Our true engagement and our true yes. It was our all-in yes. And we knew that we wanted to start a family. Yeah. And also just with your age, not to give it away. But we didn't want, if we wanted to have multiple, we wanted you to, for both of us, like, you're only 37. I'll give it away. He'll be almost 38 by the time she's born. But, we didn't want to wait until you were in your 40s to start having our kids, right? And so we knew that we wanted to have kids. And, and I think in many ways we were open to that portal. And actually, before we tell the ceremony part, I want to go all the way back to the trip that we took that we told you guys about on November 15th.
1 month in.
1 month in to the container. Yeah. And I'm crying and I'm bawling and I'm like, this is happening. And then I remember crying and going, I feel my daughter. I just feel her. I feel her spirit. I feel that she's here. And I didn't know if it was our daughter, right? Obviously at that time, but she had arrived in the field. And I was somebody who always thought I would have boys. So this was a total different, I don't know where that came from or why. And some of you might be like, what do you mean you saw your daughter? You felt, it was this clear cognizance, this knowing. I just and this feeling that she was around. Yeah. And she was spirit baby there. And again, I didn't really think much into it, and I didn't even attach it to us. I was just I feel my daughter, which is so weird because, again, never thought I'd have a girl. I don't know. It's just what I thought. And so then in March, when we did our engagement ceremony, we told you that we lit a candle for my family. We lit a candle for his family. And then we lit a center candle for our family. And the minute that we lit the center candle, I so clearly had this spiritual download, intuition. And I said, we have a daughter. Her name is, I'm not going to say what her name is, but I said what her name was. And she's coming. And you were like, okay. Ooh, what weird witchy woman am I going to marry? Yep. What was your experience of that moment?
It felt really divine in a way. So I almost felt out of body, like I was simply just witnessing something come through you. And also deep acceptance in a positive way, in excitement. It was awesome. When? Let's do this.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't mean right now, I didn't know. But 4 days later, we found out I was pregnant. And what I truly feel when I tune into her spirit is that she came into the field when you and I came together. And then she was just waiting for us to choose. And the moment that we chose, I feel like that is when. I think if we hadn't had that literal moment in that ceremony of we are choosing, I do not think I'd be pregnant right now. Yeah. I think she was waiting for us to be a full body yes and to be all in. And and she came through. And a few days later, we find out I'm pregnant. And I think we both immediately knew it's her. Yep. Okay, we are doing this all now. And I think we thought it would take a little bit. You know, we were pretty open though. We were definitely open in the field.
Totally.
To her coming in. For sure. And it took one time of being open for her to arrive. And and so that started a whole portal too of like, okay, we're doing this and we're doing it now. And so we already knew, we were already engaged at that point. We already knew we were spending our life together. So it was just like everything. Yes. Okay, we're in. And then I got really sick and we moved out of our house. And the last few episodes I did, you guys, I was pregnant and sweating and not well. And so that's why I was like, we had to take a break from the podcast because I could not be on camera at the time. And it's just been really such a beautiful time. This has been the happiest time of my life. And the most expansive and the most logistics I've ever held before in my life. And I'm just so excited to spend my life with you and to create a family with you. Yeah. The last thing I want to say is obviously we didn't know if she was a girl, like when I found out I was pregnant. But we did know.
We kind of did.
We did know, but we didn't, like it wasn't confirmed. And then a few weeks later, or however, 7-8 weeks later or whatever, when we did the whole test and we found out and she was a girl and we already knew her name. Like, okay, this is it.
Yep.
Here she is. What has this whole experience felt like for you, especially like becoming a dad and...
A familiar feeling that I've never experienced. What I've always wanted. I've joked with friends, be careful what you wish for me because the universe might give it all to you.
At once.
There's what I was calling in, even at the beginning, the things I spoke to when we were negotiating our relationship by design. It was, everything was preparing me for that, this moment of being a husband and being a father. Deep responsibility. Stepping into providership. Being the deep-rooted tree where you can be the wind that comes in and
and you are.
And
I have been.
Yeah, exactly.
In my first trimester.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch out.
And it's so freeing in a way that, gosh, even just feeling it right now, I get goosebumps because it's no longer just about me. And for so much of my life, it was all about me. And that sounds great on paper as I was in my 20s going through that, experience in early 30s, but this is absolutely the thing I've always been after. Yeah. And there's like another level deeper of grounded and rooted truth that I'm experiencing on a day-to-day level right now as I'm working on new companies, as we're moving into a new home, as we're like calling in all the things for our daughter, and it just feels so right. Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome. Really awesome.
This man started another company during my first trimester.
Yeah.
You've been a serial entrepreneur for 17 years, but it's been so cool to witness you step into that level of, just like your provision and your direction. And it feels like the most epitome of a masculine-feminine dynamic.
Yeah.
And if this is truly what we called in, like this is the pinnacle of all of it, because I'm forced to fully surrender in what's happening with my body and going through birth and becoming a mother and the death that you go through as maiden to mother, facilitating my retreat, pregnant, like all of that I had to just like really surrender and give it up to spirit of like, just the crucible that I was in. And then for you, what you're being called into doing all at once.
Yeah. A deep sense of providership and and a level of commitment I've never experienced.
Yeah.
I remember I had one of my teachers I'm really close with, again, when I was speaking to having a community that can back us, he saw how it was changing throughout our entire relationship. And he was like, this is literally the best thing that's ever happened to you. And I remember him giving me the metaphor that he said, this experience is like going down a river with rapids. And Rachel, being the feminine, she is the rapids. You have to paddle as fast and as hard as you can to get down that river and go towards it, because this is everything you've ever been calling in. If you hesitate, if you falter, if you slow down, she'll just dunk you like the rapids. So this entire experience for me has been this like, holy shit, just paddling as hard as I can towards the thing I want and letting all the fears, all the stories, anything, let go. And again, God, how freeing that is to just have a deep level of commitment to what I'm calling in and what I'm asking for in life.
Yeah. And you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
And you've never hesitated.
No.
Yeah. I think that's been the most freeing thing for me together, is just the unwavering commitment that I feel from you. Mm-hmm. And the man that I've gotten to witness you transform into, which is who I always knew you were. And you were always amazing since I've known you, but you have become more of who you truly are.
Yeah.
And I think I have as well with you. And there's just this level of safety and of openness that I feel that I can reach because of your level of leadership and providership and choice and commitment. And I just feel it to my core that this is it. Mm-hmm. And it feels so good. And to be bringing our daughter into the world with this level of foundation is just so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I feel like she's just so lucky. Like, you picked well, girl.
Yeah.
You did pick really well.
Yeah. And we're a match for that. So how lucky are we?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And you're going to be such an amazing father. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm going to cry. I love you so much.
I love you so much.
Yeah. This is so cool. Yeah. So thank you for being a witness to our love and our love story. If you stayed the full hour and 15 minutes that this podcast has been, we did good landing the plane, wrapping it up. I thought this was going to end up being 2 hours. So this was great.
Slow start and then a quick yes. Yeah.
Oh, see? Mirrors our whole relationship. Yeah. Let me feel into if there's anything else.
You were so beautiful.
Oh, I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks, baby. Yeah. Our house is so fun. We're either in this energy or we're just fucking with each other in the best way. Because we're best friends first.
Yeah.
So it's just so fun. Every day I feel like we look at each other and we're like, this is such a blast.
Yeah.
This is great. Yeah. Yeah. And the last thing I'll say around our relationship, which you guys can already get the gist, but it's just so allowed me to relax into my feminine around, as you guys know, I was such a boss babe and I want to build companies. And at one point I even remember being like, I want to retire my husband. It was a total trend in the coaching industry, which is so the antithesis of masculine, feminine, and providership and all of that now. And and it's just so beautiful to have the space of, you looked at me and were like, I will provide for you for the rest of your life. So you create what you desire to create, or you focus on being a mom, or you just gave me such permission to exhale. Mm-hmm. And it was almost as if I didn't know I was holding my breath for so long. Mm. And I'm like, oh, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be if I don't have to force, if I don't have to prove myself, if I don't have to provide? Mm-hmm. What does that who do I get to be
Yeah.
then? And so that is what I'm currently in the inquiry of. And I don't have an answer yet. And I feel like I have to go through this death first of the maiden and fully surrender into being your wife and becoming a mom. And knowing me, I mean, I'll always do this work and be a steward of this work. And this is such a purpose of mine. And I've found such a richness and a depth to life that actually doesn't feel like it needs to be outward at all. And it's in our home. And yeah, it's just a really beautiful place to be. I did feel called to ask, we have a lot of primarily women that listen to this show. And since we have you here, I feel like you have a lot of great advice. What would you say to them if a woman is wanting to call this type of love into her life? What would you say to the woman?
For one, I'll just reflect on our relationship. We both did a lot of work to be a match for each other. So it starts with a level of self-responsibility. So different women will find themselves in different places of that journey. But assuming one has done that work and finds them in a place, themselves in a place where they want to call that in, I think the most important thing is finding someone that's actually a match. Like how often in relationships do people want, like relationships are like a puzzle piece. You either fit or you don't. You know those ones that you're like, oh, this kind of works, but there's this thing that's not. You try really hard. And the only way to do that is to actually present yourself as the puzzle piece you are. Because if you come into a relationship and say, oh, I'm not that little kind of round thing, I'm a square, and then you try and put it together, it's not going to work. And we're setting ourselves up for failure. So I think the most important thing is kind of what does actually liberated love look like? The liberation comes in the fact we can actually be 100% authentically ourselves and we're a match for each other. And I think for both men and women, most people get that backwards where they try and be something they're not to attract something they're not actually attracted to. And I mean, that goes all the way back to our relationship by design. We had full permission to just be ourselves. And there wasn't an attachment to the outcome. The attachment should be, I desire deep, liberated love. Not with this.
It's the truth.
Yeah,
Your North
with
Star.
this person, because that person might not be it. And I think that reframes the entire approach around relationships. And when you are only a yes to something that is a fuck yes, everything that's not a fuck yes just dissolves away. So like, I think people could be scared, well, you know, what if that person's not out there? Maybe I do need to morph into something a little bit different and just settle for something else. Well, that's what you're going to attract. When you actually stand in it and say, I deeply desire this love, you're only going to be available for that, so that will come into your field. And it took me 36 and a half years to figure that out.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing you saying is just be so committed to your truth, regardless of the person in front of you. And when you commit to the truth of your heart as your North Star, you will find the match because you will be a match for that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what I'll share with that too, it's kind of along the lines of this, but it's said a little bit differently, is just be so committed to revealing the truth of your heart, even in the face of your fear, in the face of fearing rejection, in the face of fearing abandonment or losing someone, right? You have to be willing to lose someone to get to the right person, or they will become the right person. And I think that was what this was for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be willing to risk it all. and risk your heart and risk your reputation and
Yeah.
risk rejection and risk all of your inner child and little girl fears, because that's the only way you get to the liberated love that you seek. And even if you're in partnership right now, the same thing goes. It's like you have to be willing to say the thing that could end the relationship.
Yeah.
And we are still committed to that every single day. And that is why I think this works.
Yep.
It's because there is nothing to hide.
Yeah.
We're just so in truth with each other. And I love that. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the show today, babe.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, this was really fun.
It was. It's a cool experience to see you in this energy. I don't have social media. I've never seen one of your podcasts before.
He's never watched a single podcast of mine other than part of Marianne Williamson.
Yeah, you showed me a little bit.
Yeah. You didn't creep on it yourself?
No, I think it's when you showed me.
Really?
Yeah.
This man doesn't creep. You have no social media. Yeah. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool experience.
He has no idea what we do together, you guys. Yeah, it's like funny. Well, I love it. I love that this was your first experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is your wife. This is who you married.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It's cool, yeah?
Yeah.
You still like the choice?
I love the choice.
Okay, cool. Well, I love you so much.
Love you too.
So grateful for you. And I'm so excited for this next chapter together.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay, you guys, thank you for being here for our Sappy Love Fest and for being a witness to our journey. And I hope that this gave you inspiration. I hope that you saw yourself in some of this, or gave you something of what you desire, or illuminated something in your relationship, because that's what we also desire to be, is just a stand for people to have such great love. And the first thing, or first way of doing that, is by being an example of it. Yeah, it really can be that beautiful. And I just want to speak into the possibility of every single one of you listening to this episode, that it's possible for you too. So with that, I love you guys. I missed y'all. Thank you for tuning back in to the show. And I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the It's Fucking Spiritual podcast. I am so glad that you're here. And if this episode resonated with you, I invite you to share this with a friend that you feel needs to hear it. And if you are really feeling the love and support for this show, this podcast thrives off of your listens and your reviews. So I would love if you could leave us an honest review. We would love to hear your feedback, your thoughts, your questions, and it helps us get this podcast in the hands of more people and would mean so much to me to receive your support. So thank you.